Pill Hardcore Radio Show. House baby.
You are compelled to listen.
Oh no, don't start with... See, you speak to the devil's tongue and you think it's a joke, but
You
it's
are
real.
compelled.
Your hair is being camera back in.
You will listen. You will listen.
Yeah. Will you just cut it out and talk normal?
You will listen to
See,
me.
this is what I'm
Every
talking
chance you get. Every minute. You will keep your radio. You will turn the volume up even higher.
It's a big joke, but you're tearing down the foundations of our nation.
The entire
Very
foundation
funny.
around
Very
our
funny.
ears.
Yes, you are tuned in to another episode of the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show. As always, I'm your host V, just like the intro said. And today, I'm just going to hop right into things. Today I have with me Madison Star Moon from the Madison Star Moon Blog Talk Radio. Madison, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, B. How are you?
I'm doing great. Doing my best to spread truth media around.
Nice. Good job.
Oh, yeah, it's a hard road, but that's what we have to do, as you know.
Right.
So, I wanted to hop right into it. You're a hardcore activist. You've been on the truther media circuit for 6+ years, as I hear, and, well, let everyone know who you are. Introduce yourself.
Okay. So my name is Madison Star Moon. I'm also, well, I should have done that in reverse. My name is Amanda Danielle Bays, but I'm better known as Madison Star Moon on the internet. And I'm a Chemtrail, Death Tower, Agenda 21 activist. And I live here in Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads. I consider this area one of the most heavily chemtrailed areas on Earth. I live right next to the military base, so I'm privy to witnessing all of the devastation of the aircraft activities that the military is conducting. I've been reporting these crimes to the EPA for the past 6 years. I've done it electronically through epa.gov/tips. I also have many different phone calls that I've given to, NASA, NOAA, the FBI, and on, trying to report these crimes against humanity, in which no one investigates anything I ever say. And so it's really a steep road to hoe. We are pretty much on our own with this agenda. And even with the death towers, that's not a conspiracy. That's something it's not a theory, it's a conspiracy. But we can clearly see the death towers popping up everywhere. And I actually was interrogated by the FBI in my home for daring to try to get a FOIA request on some antennas that were at the courthouse. So, it's brutal to be a truther in this day and time, and but I just try to do my best to spread awareness. I am speaking at the 2nd annual Global Chemtrail Summit in Oregon next month. I spoke at the last one in Vancouver, Canada. I also testified before the EPA at the world's first EPA hearing on aircraft emissions, and you can find that. It was on C-SPAN, so you just look up Madison Star Moon, C-SPAN, chemtrail hearing. You can look up any variation of those terms and you can see some of my work. But yeah, so that's just like the sum it up of me, of what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, I've actually heard one of your blog talks, and I've actually seen one of your YouTube videos. You're in a courtroom. I wish I could have pulled that up for the show and looked at this while we were talking, but I had a little bit of connectivity issues. But can you please tell me what your YouTube videos were about?
Yeah, most of my YouTube videos are, like I said, about chemtrails, death towers. I debunk NASA and the lying ISS station, moon landing hoax videos, telling the public about chemtrails, just different stuff. And basically, I just try to make it as interesting as I can for the viewer. I know a lot of this information is repeated over and over again. We've been trying to wake people up for over a decade, longer than that, of course. But I'm just talking about in the chemtrail community, you can say a strong decade that we've been spreading awareness, trying to get the word out to the quote-unquote sheeple that refuse to pay attention to what's going on. It's really scary when you can't get any help. And when you tell somebody, like when the sky is covered in plumes that stretch across the sky from horizon to horizon, and you point it out to someone, when they still don't see it, it's so disheartening and frustrating. I think that's probably one of the biggest problems that an activist has is the fact that their loved ones don't even believe them, that this is going on.
Agreed. You mentioned the FBI interrogated you in your own home because you got a FOIA. Can you explain that? What that process is?
I sure can. Okay, so you can find this entire story on my YouTube channel, Madison Star Moon, The Men in Black. And what happened was, I was driving past the courthouse and I saw this huge death tower. I call them death rays. But anyway, so I see this death tower, and so I go up and I started taking pictures of it. Now, mind you, I'm in a public parking lot right there on the main street. It's not like I was like back behind a parking lot creeping around, or I wasn't infiltrating the tower. I'm right there in front of the building just taking some pictures. And then I asked the lady if I could get a FOIA request, which is Freedom of Information Act, on the antennas that were on the tower. I was unable to get that information. That following Monday, because this I believe was on a Friday, I get a phone call. I'm in my house. I just gotten out of the shower. I get a phone call, and it's this creepy sounding man. He's like, "Is this Amanda Bays?" You know, and I'm like, "Yeah." You know, and then he starts interrogating me over the phone, and I'm like, "Okay." You know, and all of a sudden, then he says, "Would you like to come to your door? Would you like to open your door? We're at your door." And I looked out my window, and sure as hell, there's the Men in freaking black. I mean, just like how you would imagine them, in suits, looking all creepy-fied. And so I just go and I open the door and I welcome them into my house because I have nothing to hide. You know, it's pretty sad that the only time the FBI comes out to my house is to investigate me. As many times as I have called and reported terrorist attacks, crimes against humanity, other stuff to them, this is the only time they came out. So they did the good cop, bad cop thing on me. They interrogated me. They tried to scare me to death, and it worked. It was a pretty effective tool that they used because, you know, when they're standing over me, one on either side of me, and they'd never identified themselves at first until finally when we got into it, the conversation, I looked at the one guy and I said, "Are you the FBI?" And he nodded his head yes. And I was like, oh crap, and I went into like some type of shock. And in the end, they gave me their card, and they were the Joint Domestic Terrorism Task Force from Norfolk and Virginia Beach. So it was just disgraceful and disgusting that they would do this. You know, I never heard anything back from them since then because obviously I'm not a terrorist trying to get some information about dangerous antennas. It's just disgusting. Yeah. Well,
you know, it's really disgusting that they want to investigate you instead of the possible damage that this infrastructure that you're reporting, you know, and so what I'm trying to say is they should be investigating that, as you said, instead of investigating you. You make these reports, they're obligated to investigate.
Yeah, I want to say something though. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Unless, of course, you like us and people that are listening, if you understand that, well, they put the infrastructure there and they know well what's going on, and to challenge the system, well, it lets you know they are actually doing the crime themselves. So what are we going to do about that?
Okay, so the other day, the chemtrails were so heinous here that I had like a freak out. And the first thing I did was I called the police. Because I had spoken with the police came to my house, you know, like less than a week ago over some other stuff. I called them and they, you know, wanted to make a report. So it was over some internet stalkers that I have right now, and I wanted to get a restraining order on them because I have trolls. I mean, you want to talk about a woman that's trolled to death? Here I am. But anyways, and I just finally had enough.
I know all about it.
So while the police officer was at my house, I told him, you know, can I report chemtrails to you? And he told me, no, I have to go to the EPA and NOAA. So I took his advice and went back to the EPA, which I've formally filed my complaints for 6 years to the EPA, but I recorded all of my calls to the EPA and NOAA, which was like, I'd say about 20 calls. I left them all my information whenever I was connected to a machine or whatever. No one ever contacted me back. I had like a half-hour to 45-minute conversation with NOAA, which is also on my YouTube channel. You guys can listen to that. And so once I realized, well, I did what the police officer said, I'm just going to report this again. So I called the cops, and they would not take a report. They would not do anything for me. And so then I called the FBI, and I pressed the button where it says, if you know about terrorist activity, you want to report something suspicious crime of terrorism or something, press this button. They connected me to the terrorism unit of the FBI. I reported this crime, chemtrail crime, aerosol spraying crime. They refused to investigate it. I mean, it was insane. I'm on there like, you guys have to at least, I've already done this. They just kept telling me, call the EPA. And I explained to them, I've already done this for 6 years. I just called them. I did everything the police officer told me to do. And the FBI is like, I'm sorry, ma'am. You're just making all these excuses and stuff. And I'm just like, this is disgraceful. We have absolutely no one of any authority that is helping us with the spraying operations.
Now, let me say my experience with the EPA. And this was the EPA in California. I actually called and started doing my little investigation, and come to find out, one of the main excuses that they gave me for not doing anything was that, well, we only deal with the air pollution at ground level. Really? Like, what would that be? Oh, smog and, which is really a big thing because, in California they charge you an arm and a leg to have your vehicle smogged every year, and it's a huge racket. But they're making so much money off of the ground pollution and all that. But the thing is, the atmosphere is actually, I want to say, policed by someone, but it has to be checked by someone, some environmental agency. I don't think there's any higher environmental agency than the EPA. So who regulates laws dealing with atmospheric contamination?
Nobody. That's what I found. I mean,
nobody.
They'll say that it's the EPA, and the EPA doesn't. I mean, even the Clean Air Act, airplanes were written out of it in the 90s. So there's no. I actually have a guy recorded stating, I think he was with either EPA or DEQ, that says there's going to be no one and no regulation on Earth for aircraft emissions. It's Willis Williams from the DEQ. I have him recorded saying that. And I'm like, what? There's no agency? And he's like, no, like laughing about it. I'm like, oh my God, we are doomed. See, if it wasn't for people like you and me, V, this planet would be doomed. But fortunately, there are loudmouth activists that aren't willing to just say, okay, I give up, you win. No, we just keep fighting to the end.
Right. Well, we gotta do what we can. So, yeah, I found that to be really disgusting. So, but if you think about it, even, and this is another lie that I came across. Well, there's no pollution, the chemtrails stay up in the atmosphere. They don't fall down. That's a load of crap because, there's high aluminum saturation in the ground from the few reports that you can find in the EPA. High saturation of aluminum and other elements that are artificially placed. And so, the stuff does come down. Is the government doing something that defies, physics? What goes up must come down.
Right, they make excuses though. When you tell them, that was part of the conversation I had with the NOAA guy, and I told him, look, all I want is testing done for, heavy metals, biological material, and chemicals that may or may not be present in the atmosphere. And he tells me, it can be from a different source. That's their excuse. Some barium, you get that in nature, and this could be from something else. It's all these excuses, so they keep getting away with it. I have gone through hell with the federal agencies that are set up to protect us. And I've told them all what they're good for. Nothing. I've told them they're guilty of omission. I was going to make my speech this year, my presentation in Oregon, I was going to make it about omission. But I think that's kind of like beating a dead horse. So I'm going to go about it a different route. I'm not going to reveal anything because I want to keep it, all for the summit. But these people are guilty of omission, failure to act. That is a crime. And nobody's holding these criminals accountable. They're just able to perpetuate and cover up and just still be getting paid off of our tax dollars. These people care about their pensions. They don't care about the planet.
Absolutely. And so, in your years of activism about the chemtrails, what have you found out about the chemtrails? I mean, what is your campaign? I mean, what's your pitch?
Well, I found out all different types of things. One of the telling material evidence that I have is going to be the snow. You know, everybody has snow that falls each year, usually. Okay, so what you do is you just collect the snow and then you melt it, and you can actually see the particles in the snow. I have several different videos on my YouTube channel, Madison Star Moon, Morgellons Chem Snow, where you can see I just take 1 cup of snow and I do it all live, and I do it from fresh snow that's just fallen, scoop it up, melt it, and then you just see the devastation. And if that's in 1 cup of snow that's falling from the atmosphere, you can just imagine what's in the atmosphere. Other telling scientific tests that I have from labs are going to be hair, soil, water, and blood, all showing high levels of barium, strontium, aluminum, lead, mercury, cadmium, uranium, and other nefarious materials that are not supposed to be in there. And I have presented those to the EPA, and they have yet to do anything about it. So we do have scientific evidence, like from labs, backing up our claims. We also have the visual evidence of the melting of the snow, and that's just from stuff that I've done, whatever. Other people, other more scientific and experienced chemtrail researchers, they've taken their samples under telescopes, and we've found Morgellons, which is a disease that's not even recognized by the medical community. And that is where living organisms, almost robotic, transhuman, weird type of fibers that are unidentifiable. Yes. We can't even figure out what they are, but you can see them moving around and growing and cloning and doing all this other weird stuff. I mean, that's in the air. Yeah. So I think there's a more nefarious agenda that we don't even really know about that's with the transhuman Morgellons.
Well, that was going to be my next question, actually, if you were aware of Morgellons disease. And so the agenda is clear that these people are not going to stop. They're chemtrailing us on purpose to put these body and mind altering substances, in our environment and in our air, food, and water. And so the EPAs won't do anything about it. So then, what next? Can't we take this to the Supreme Court?
That's a great question.
I think we should just take it to the Supreme Court. I don't know if you're aware of Dane Wigington. He's a contact of mine. He'll soon be on my show. But he's actually was doing a lawsuit in Canada, and then he's going to be bringing a lawsuit to the United States. I think we need to, as a nation, clog the courts, and we need to say the chemtrailing needs to stop. Everyone needs to file in the Supreme Court. We got clogged the court system.
So, me and a couple of other of my friends that have been doing this for a long time, we actually are going that route as well. But I don't want to give away too many details because it's still in the processing stage. But yeah, we're going that route as well. But ours is against one specific entity, and we are suing them. And we do have petitions going right now and different stuff. But I mean, basically, if somebody is a fraud, if somebody is covering up a crime, you have to bust them. So it's really hard. It's hard to do because all they keep telling you is that it's water vapor, and you have no evidence. It's interesting that David Keith is now coming out saying they're just now proposing to spray water vapor into the atmosphere to mitigate global warming, and they're just now going to start this, spraying the skies. Well, then what the hell have they been doing for the past 10 years? Excuse my French. So this is ridiculous. They're going to attempt to fool the public into believing that this is a proposed idea. They're just now starting it when we know for a fact they've been doing it for over a decade.
Oh, longer than over a decade. I remember as a small child asking my father what those long clouds in the sky were. My father, being ex-Air Force, retired Air Force, said those are chemtrails. He didn't go into any detail at that time. I asked him again later on and found, wow, really? Some of the things they said. But, so if we're not being heard, we can't. Okay, well, let me back up. They said that you don't have any evidence, it's just water vapor. But, here it's actually illegal to collect rainwater in the United States. So, how are you supposed to collect evidence? You go to them and tell them, hey, I collected rainwater, and you go to jail.
You can collect rainwater. That's not true.
Well, I don't see any way that you could be stopped from collecting rainwater, but if you have an apparatus on your property that collects rainwater,
I don't think anyone could ever. You can just have a bucket outside collecting water. What are they going to, No, I've collected chem snow every year. I have a bag of chem snow in my freezer. I've tried to get everybody under the sun to, test this material for me.
Well, I know I've been harassed personally with having a bucket of water on my property. Neighborhood association mosquitoes. There are several ways which these people will block you from having such things. It's a psychological operation, one after another.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So I've actually seen some of these videos on YouTube about the chemtrail snow. And once again, I lived in California. There was the Shasta Mountain, which had a reputation of having the best water, coming from that area, the lake and whatnot. And now it's so aluminum toxic, nobody wants to touch it anymore.
Yeah, that's crazy. Shasta County, they've done so many great things as far as exposing the chemtrails. I've seen the hearings and the city council meetings, town hall meetings, and all this. And I suggest anybody that's out there to watch those videos because they are very telling. Those people unite together, and that's what I think one of the biggest problems in the truther community is unity. And I will be the first to say that I'm part of that problem as well. Because when someone comes onto my page or my websites or so whatever, and they try to spew what I would say is misinformation, I just snap off immediately. I'm block happy. I must have 2,000-3,000 people blocked on my Facebook page, and unfortunately, I've probably blocked some good people. But when you get into a position where I'm at, I've been trolled and shilled and terrorized so much so that I have this guard up. So if I see something that I even think is kind of suspect, instead of trying to deal with it, I'll just block. And so I spoke with my father about this the other day. Let me just give you one specific example and get this off my chest. Okay, the flat Earth. Okay, so there's a theory that the Earth could be flat. Everyone has heard it.
Yes,
okay, so I consider myself a 50-50, and that means that I have absolutely no idea what shape the Earth is, because I've never been above the Earth to take a picture of it. And I also know that all the images from NASA are CGI cartoons. So we don't have any real pictures of the Earth. That's suspicious. But am I a flat earther? No. Am I a globetrotter? No. I'm neither one. I'm a 50-50. Having said that, when I see people on the internet dog out flat earthers, I get so upset because I'm like, you know what? That's ridiculous. You cannot just disregard or shun somebody because they're researching something. We all want to know the truth. So I went ahead, there was this one post that made me so mad, and I looked on it, and all of my friends that liked that post, I just went down and unfriended every single one of them. And some of those people were good friends of mine. Well, when they found out they'd been unfriended from me, it was like World War III. They went postal, and they started saying that I was a CIA shill, and they started terrorizing me and just stalking me and doing all this horrible stuff. So I went to my father about it, and he said, well, you were wrong. You were wrong to do that. Why? Do you know what a betrayal that is? To block one of your friends and followers for years just because they liked a post that was bashing the flat earthers? But for me, I've been bashed for being a flat earther, and I'm not even a flat earther, so I know how it feels to be shunned for daring to look into something that's like that, So I just wanted to get that off my chest. I never meant any harm. Yes. I don't ever want to hurt anyone's feelings, but I just can't stand to see people gang up on other people for having such an open mind.
Well, actually, I got something to get off my chest too. Very related. A couple days ago, I was at the TV station recording my pilot for my TV show, my TV version of this show, and some guy came in. It was supposedly a professor of some kind, and he came in very rudely during the recording of my show, and was back in the back area room with my producer and I guess the station owner, and was insisting on recording something and da 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 da. It was so important, so very important. And while my show was going on, because there's viewing in the back, this professor the entire time was, conspiracy theorists are crazy, and proceed to bash African Americans because I'm a black man, and proceed to bash.
You're black?
Well, Native American and black.
Wow, you sound white.
Oh gosh, yes. Well, that was my evangelist sneaking up on people. But basically, this guy was just bashing me the whole time, and proceeded to say that Africans are savage and have sex with monkeys and created AIDS, and conspiracy theorists are stupid. Basically, he was there to disrupt my show. I guess he was called in. He must have been an agent of some kind, because even after I left and ended my show early so that he can record his stuff, all of a sudden I left my material. I don't have my script. Oh well, sorry, later, maybe next time. And so it was a blatant attempt for whatever, I don't know, government agency, maybe a Freemasonry plot, whatever, the supposed Freemasonries, to disrupt my show. And I find out about this guy. The funny thing I find out is this guy's a biologist, this professor, and a flat earther. So, and conspiracy theorists are stupid, but he's a flat earther and believes that the AIDS was created by people having sex with monkeys.
No, actually it was created by the government.
It was created by CIA.
Right. And they also have a cure for it. So, if they really wanted to eradicate it, just like cancer, they would go ahead and give up the cure. But it's a big money maker for Big Pharma. We know that.
Well, and the eugenics movement, where they can kill all blacks in Africa. But I digress. This is the sort of thing. Yeah, there's no unity, and then there's a lot of agents who want to come and mess things up. Fortunately enough for me, these people shot their load prematurely, as they always do. Pardon the pun. And my pilot episode wasn't that important. I mean, I have leagues better interviews to do and shows and whatnot. So now my show is off limits to anyone while I'm recording.
Are you on TV?
The studio is off limits while I'm there.
Is there some place I can see one of your shows?
Oh, well, I'm actually going to be recording. Yeah, I guess I should have said this at the beginning of the show. I'm a little bashful about these things. But I'm recording my show, my TV show, and it's going to be... I'm going to do it like month shows worth in advance, so then I can have steady airtime and be able to go on vacation if I need to, or take care of other business, travel if I need to, be away from the studio. But I'm here at NTV in Poland.
How old are you?
I'm 31.
Oh, okay.
And
I just don't know anything about you. You're a mystery. Anthony has come to me and told me that I need to get in contact with you several times and everything. And I kept telling him, I'll go on the show. And then I just would never hear back from you.
Well, we get bombarded quite a bit. I mean, I've only been in truther media for the past 2 years, but things has accelerated quite quickly. So I'm doing my best to make all contacts and to help spread other truther media. I got into this game to be a leader, and so I want to boost everyone else up at the same time.
Yeah, that's smart.
Leaders make
That's
great
good.
leaders.
That's true. Yep. Leaders make other leaders.
Yes.
True leaders do.
Absolutely. So, I want to get back to your campaign. You use Blog Talk, correct? Blog Talk Radio.
Yes, I do. I use Blog Talk, but I have several other platforms. YouTube is a big one. Facebook is where I'm most active. I also have a couple of other things here and there, but if anyone just Googles Madison Star Moon, any variation of those words, like all together, one word, 2 words, 3 words, you'll find all of my stuff on the internet.
Okay.
Yep.
And so,
go ahead.
with these samples, the chemtrail snow in the refrigerator, or freezer, rather, these samples, what should we do about them? I mean, most of the scientists in the world today are in someone's pocket. They either work for the government or a private corporation. To take samples to a government scientist with this known crime, they're either told to hush up, or to lie about their samples, or make a law or a situation where they can't talk about anything. And then you have private people. Well, I mean, that takes a lot of money. Most people don't have money to pay a chemist or anyone that can get accurate readings, accurate measurements of whatever compounds are in the water or the air. So shouldn't we have...
That's true.
Are there any independent
truther
scientists out there? Because that's what we really need.
Here, and I have a friend that's in the science department of my local college, and I tried to get him to do it, but he couldn't do it for some reason. Basically, we are left on with our own devices. We have to do this ourselves, and I've learned that the hard way, but the only reason why I continue to press the military, the government, and other nefarious agencies, even knowing that they're not going to help me, is to just expose the fact that they're not going to help me. I never ever call up an agency thinking that they're going to help me. I already know I'm going to get the runaround. They're going to tell me it's water vapor, this, that, and the other. So I mostly do it now for theatrics. I just want it I want it recorded. I want everyone to hear that I'm specifically reporting a crime and that they're not doing anything about it. So it entraps them in some type of omission, failure to act scenario, and then I've got them recorded lying about it. So now they're not only not investigating the aircraft, they're not identifying the aircraft I'm talking about, and this is going from the FAA, which definitely has the ability, the military. The military is complicit in these crimes, and probably more than likely in on it, because the military sees every single aircraft that flies across the United States. So if there is a fleet of spraying aircraft, and I call the military, which I do all the time, they actually, there's this one number that I used to call all the time, and they straight up, now, when I call, they're like, what, Amanda? They're like, what do you want now? We already told you it's nothing, just, and all this. So they just already know it's me before they even pick up. But I was dealing with Terry Chamberlain, which he's the head of the Environment Department here at Oceana, Naval Air Station Oceana, and he straight up is a fraud. I exposed him to the EPA live on C-SPAN. I mean, this guy is in the military. He's supposed to be helping us, but they're just not doing anything. So the long and the short of my rant is, even knowing they're not going to do anything, I will still continue to press them because, one, I'm not letting them get away with it. Number two, I want to get them recorded lying, so they're guilty of omission and not doing anything. And then I don't need a paper trail anymore, which I already have, but now I've got it all for the whole world to hear. And I want to encourage anyone to back up my work. I mean, if you hear me make a call to somebody, go ahead and call them after me and say, I heard this recording on YouTube. Have you done anything to investigate this woman's claims? Do something to help me, because if it's just me calling, they have already written me off. I'm already blacklisted. I'm already on every list.
Yes.
So they don't care that I'm calling.
Well, absolutely. Definitely high volumes of activity. I mean, we need to do more than just march. Us marching on Washington, D.C. is not going to do anything for anybody. No one cares. As much as I hate to say it, Anonymous is wasting their time, and any group is wasting their time marching. No. Paperwork has to be filed. Phone calls have to be made en masse, in so much volume that it clogs or stops the system. If the system is clogged, well, that clog has to be taken care of now, doesn't it? The squeaky wheel gets the oil, right?
That's what they say. I'm pretty squeaky.
Whoa. So
I'm waiting to get lubed up, and it's not happening. So.
Well, yeah. So it's the volume. So if there's any lobbying power, if there's something, are there any interest in the people? I mean, I know ACLU is useless. I know, certain so-called freedom rights organizations are extremely useless. So we have to do our own investigating, like you said. So I have an idea. How about a charter list? Because these airplanes, any of these airplanes that are flying through the sky, they have a list of people that are on the planes. As you said, the military has access to these records. And they're well aware of every plane that flies in the sky. So, have you seen the pictures of these airplanes where the passenger seating is supposed to be, of all these tanks of various types? And you know which planes are the chemtrail planes because they're filled with these tanks. Now, the payload. I guess payload. Payload is the correct word, but I guess I should say you can tell a commercial plane from one of these chemtrailing planes. Excuse me. Based on seeing the chemtrails. So, flight numbers. Who owns the plane?
Yeah.
Where they fly from? What substances were on these planes? Follow the trail. So, who owns the plane? What's their agenda? Who are they working for? And it's got to end with someone.
Yeah.
I promise you it's going to end with someone, military or government. And we have to go to those people's homes if need be, I don't care if we got to lynch mob some people. It's a serious situation when you have a black man saying this. we need to take to the streets with our...
It's unfortunate that they don't give us this information. Like when you try to identify the aircraft, especially if you use like flight radar and you don't see it on flight radar or one of the other apps, they'll just say that it's a military aircraft. They don't have to have, they have a different transponder and they don't have to have serial numbers on them or anything like that. I mean, these are basically UFOs, and they're flying around spraying stuff. One of my friends, John Graff, actually recorded an orb spraying. It's a definite orb. It's not an optical illusion. You can see this. So I am not saying that it's an alien extraterrestrial entity. What I'm saying is it's some type of technology that we are not privy to. We don't know about this technology yet. I believe the military has tons of spraying planes. What about the stealth bombers that they're spraying? Stealth spraying? Doesn't that defeat the purpose of stealth? They're not even supposed to produce a contrail because then it would give out their location to an enemy.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, so these large, supposed to be commercial planes are in fact military. So what do we do? I mean, the only way to fight a military is with another military. Have you contacted any of your civilian militia?
I have many different militia friends and stuff like that, but they're not really in the chemtrail arena. Some of my friends, they're more like constitutionalist. They are militia members, but they're not. They're like just like me, like a public figure where they post everything they do and they go to rallies and stuff like that. I don't have any rogue activists, secret rogue. Most of my friends are public figures.
Okay.
So I don't. And it's basically they're fighting against stuff on the ground, like the mosquito trucks, or stopping the Fed, ending the Fed, or just gun rights and different types of stuff. I think the militia gets a bad rap. I have yet to meet a single militia member that is dangerous. These people are trying to protect our rights, and they are our last line of defense against a treasonous government. You best believe that.
Yes,
when the rubber meets the road, or when the hits the, excuse my French, you're gonna have to edit that part. When the poop hits the fan, that's what's going to be in the end. We're going to have these militia members trying to protect us when we shouldn't have allowed it to get this far. The government is not our friend. The military is not protecting us. The military is protecting the government.
Absolutely. And so treason all the way up. I would definitely agree that, our militiamen should be public figures, heroes, and so forth. I know my militia has had 14 members arrested and one of them killed by federal agents. So this is a very serious thing. There's got to be something. I mean, I know what I'm going to do, and that is to possibly create counterattack. I mean, I know everything there is to know about the chemtrails. I know what it's for. I know the underlying this is and that's of it. And so if the government does not want to admit to having this chemtrailing done, it's just water vapor and all that good stuff, well, I think we need some air filters. How about nano accumulators?
Oh yeah, that's great.
I know exactly what would clean the air and how to keep it out of the biological functions of the people below. I bet you anything in the world, if I were to make a product like that and put it out there, they'd find some way to make it illegal. No, you're not supposed to collect chemtrails. Oh, really? So you're admitting that chemtrail nanoparticles exist.
Yeah, they're saying it's just water vapor. They're saying that the geoengineering that they're proposing is just to spray water vapor. Now check this out. So let's pretend like global warming is real, and if for all we know, global warming is real, but it's man-made. That's kind of like where I'm going with it. I believe that the sea levels are rising, and that global warming is a real thing. But it is because of the chemtrailing. So that kind of does a reverse thing for what they're saying. They're saying they're chemtrailing to protect us from the global warming. It actually heats up the atmosphere, and we've proven that time and time again. But if they really wanted to geoengineer for global warming mitigation, why wouldn't they just take salt water from the oceans that are rising, take all of that, and spray it up into the atmosphere? Doesn't that seem like a great idea for cooling down the planet, instead of spraying these chemicals that linger? And the reason why is because they're not cooling down the planet. They are not. They're depopulating the planet.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. The global warming crap is a hoax. And I'm so glad that people are waking up to the fact that global warming is, in fact, a hoax. Just for them to actually get their depopulation program, as you said, going.
Okay, this is how you know that it's a hoax, okay? So you can check it out. How long have we had airplanes? What, about 100 years, 150 years? I'm just ballparking, I don't even know. But let's just say, let's go along with it and say 150 years. I mean, it's probably not even been that long. Okay, so do you mean to tell me that in all the millions of years that the Earth existed, and who knows how long humans have existed, but it's been a long freaking time, okay? Do you mean to tell me that just now, in the past 100 years, we need to spray stuff into the sky, which we never, ever needed to spray anything into the sky before to continue humanity in the Earth? Well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, then how did the Earth and humanity continue the million years before that?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so we have the whole ordeal of the water levels rising and all that. That happens naturally. We have ice ages. We have all that stuff. So it's not happening at a significant rate. I mean, if the water levels are rising, why is there a shortage of water? Supposedly, they always want to sell us that story. There's a shortage of water. There's a shortage of water. And
well, how would you rather die? Would you rather die with Alzheimer's and respiratory illness now? Or would you rather die over time with a natural phenomena of the Earth, of the sea levels rising? That's what they are killing all the crops. They are literally killing photosynthesis and the vitamin D that we all need to live. They're giving us respiratory illness and a wide variety of other freaky diseases that aren't even identified by the medical community. Would you rather have that? Okay? Or would you rather have some natural earth-changing effect that is going to happen anyways? This is stupid. They are making global warming with the chemtrails. So that is the lamest excuse. Now, like I said,
well, the greenhouse effect, right?
Geoengineers, they'd spray water into the atmosphere.
Well, there's a greenhouse effect, right? Wouldn't that be making things warmer?
Yes.
So these people want to just lie after lie after lie as to why they want a chemtrail, and I'm going to be going over this in my next few episodes with different Morgellons sufferers and so forth as to what this stuff really is and how we neutralize it. Well, just that we're going to be talking about the real causes of the Morgellons, which is the chemtrails, and what it's really there for. You know, as you stated, the transhumanism and they want to turn us into robots, basically, but it's a little bit deeper than that. And so they really want to take over the population. It's not just population control or that sort of thing, but it's just total control of life in general around. And they're experimenting all the way through biofrequencies, the nanoparticulates, and so forth. They want to be able to become God by having an ether in which they can turn something into something with the touch of a button. Anything that they want, something into the touch of a button. They want this certain crop over here to die or to morph into something else. That's what the frequency, boom, you know, as these death towers, as you said. That's what they're there for. They want to assassinate someone who may be talking too much, or kill off an entire population of people. You know, they want complete remote control, and that's what this chemtrail stuff is all about. But I want to take a quick pause here and
Okay.
for a commercial break.
What are you talking about? Created by the state?
You have a birth
sounds like
certificate, do you not?
anti-government rhetoric.
Please view, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stop Terrorism. Please contact us if you or anyone you know who wants to be on our show at thetruepharmacy@gmail.com. Keep it real. Take the red pill.
Well, he was spreading distrust of our government, and we should not be distrusting our government.
I really don't think he said that.
Okay, so if you would like to get started again.
Okay. Can we talk for a moment about the ISS space station?
We can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Okay, I want to expose NASA for a minute here. Okay, so we're expected to believe that, 50 years ago, we went to the moon, man landed on the moon, 6 times? And it was so easy for them to get back and forth from the moon, and yet no one has done it again since then, no country in the world. And we're also expected to believe that the International Space Station has a bunch of doofy-looking freaks on there that haven't bathed in 130 days, 190 days, and and that they're just living up there in the space station, floating around. It is utterly ridiculous. And I want people to investigate the ISS, International Space Station, hoax for what it is, a complete fraud. NASA has embezzled trillions of dollars from the American people for these fraudulent, things. I believe that the moon landing was done in Area 51 or someplace like that. I believe also the photos of Mars. If you guys Google Mars hoax, or, this guy actually found Mars on Google Earth. That's what I want you guys to look up. He actually finds the rover roving around on, I can't remember what country it was in, and they match the pictures up perfectly with the photos that they're showing are from Mars. All they do is change the tint of it to make it look red. We haven't been to Mars. We haven't been to the moon. We can't get through the Van Allen radiation belt, if there is such a thing. I don't even know if that's fact, but I know that we don't have the technology yet to do it. And NASA itself has admitted this.
Well,
they've admitted over and over again that we can't.
Do you want to know something about that?
I'm sorry?
Do you want to know something about that I found in my research and
Sure.
my knowledge of technology, secret government technology? We have not been to the moon by any conventional means. Now, when I say conventional, I mean rocketry. We have not gone past the Van Allen radiation belt with any rocketry. No, call me conspiracy theorist. Call me. I usually don't talk about UFOs or anything like that on my show, but it's worth mentioning here and there. But we do have reverse engineered technology from Roswell and so forth. These UFOs that are spotted here and there all over the planet. People being abducted. It's military labs, my labs, and I believe we have been to the moon. I believe we've been all over the solar system, and perhaps alien technology, but by conventional technology, I don't think we've left the Earth. The Earth's
Of course we
magnetic
haven't.
field.
They can't even get those rockets. Look how many times NASA's tried to get a rocket up and the whole thing explodes. I mean, these people are inept. It's not because they're not trying. Okay, they're trying to do stuff, but they fail because we just haven't got the technology yet. And if we do, I know what you're talking about. We've reverse engineered UFOs. We have anti-gravity propulsion systems. We don't even need oil. It's ridiculous that we are still using this dirty thing that we don't even need. It's destroying the atmosphere, the ozone layer. I think they've already punched a hole in the ozone layer like a long time ago. And I believe maybe that's part of the reason why they're chemtrailing, is to cover up this hole. That's just a theory I have. I have so many different theories about the chemtrails, but yeah, they've screwed a lot of stuff up. I mean, you could be right. I'm not going to say that you're wrong. I just personally don't believe that we have stepped 1 foot on the moon. I don't even know what the moon is, to be honest with you.
Well, how do you feel about the?
Moon, I don't even know if it's a thing, or if it's just a light, or if it's an actual object. I'm unsure about so many things because we've been lied to too much.
Well, could that also be a part of why they're chemtrailing? Maybe we're getting more powerful telescopes and things like that. Shouldn't we be able to see the rover or something on the moon from telescopes?
No, because they say that it's They say it's 250,000 miles away. I believe that's crap. I don't believe that's true at all.
But apparently, we can see distant planets in other galaxies with these radio telescopes and these sort of things. I think we can have a powerful enough telescope that anyone in the world, there should be field trips to observatories.
Right.
Little kids look into a telescope and look at the rovers. Look what we left on the moon. Why don't we have that?
Yeah, exactly. Because it doesn't exist. That's why. I mean, the whole thing is at NASA. The whole thing is a hoax. And I mean, the bad part about getting so much disinformation, early on in our lives, is that now we are jaded. The truthers are all jaded. You guys may not want to admit it, but you're jaded. And I am the queen of jaded. I don't believe anything the government tells me. And that is bad also because, there'll be real information that I won't believe. Like, the moon is an actual thing. I mean, that's probably something I should believe and know. But because I'm so apprehensive about any information I get from NASA, I'm like, oh, yeah, right. Anything you tell me is a lie, suckers. You think you're going to fool me again? No. So my beliefs about the extraterrestrials, do I believe that there is other life out there? Possibly. Do I believe in extraterrestrials? I used to be the biggest ufologist, alien believer out there. I would freak out if anybody dared to tell me that there weren't aliens. Now, I'm skeptical to say the least. I believe most of the aircraft that I've witnessed were the UFOs that I've witnessed, because I've seen a UFO disappear right in front of my face. I believe it's military technology. I believe it's some type of freaky, experimental aircraft that they have that we don't know about.
And, they have these things in which, that's the reason why there's so many secret projects. I mean, we don't know what they're doing in these underground bunkers they're building all over the planet. Scientist after scientist with the black budget, that is being funded by, various ways, I think in the United States for the past 20 years, $6 trillion, $6.5 trillion has just, up and disappeared. Hey guys, here's 9/11. Don't pay attention to that. Here's 9/11. And then, all these other mind jobs they want to put on us. Who knows what they're making,
You know what else has disappeared? The original footage of man's first step on the moon. All of the footage is gone. They lost it. NASA
Got lost.
the footage of the most unbelievable, amazing human feat on this planet.
Maybe because it wasn't real.
And it's all gone.
Maybe because it was too many faults in it, and if anyone were to really analyze it, it would be seen to be staged.
Right.
That would be the equivalent to them losing the original Constitution.
Yeah.
Declaration of Independence. You can't just lose something like that.
No, they didn't lose it. You know what I'm saying? They've either destroyed it, they never had it in the first place. You know what I'm saying? They only had the certain clips that and how grainy it was. I mean, they had cameras up there. They could, if you guys watch A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon or Astronauts Gone Wild, Bart Sabreau debunks it all right off the bat. And some people are saying that Bart Sabreau is in on it and all this. That is disgusting. That makes me so angry. Because people like Bart Sabreau, the NASA truthers that are exposing this, need to be thanked for their tireless efforts to expose this agenda. I really appreciate the flat earthers that are exposing NASA, because people like Geoengineering and David Weiss and stuff like that, even Eric Dubay, because they are putting NASA on blast. And I get told a lot of times that my friends are agents, but you know what? I tell them to kick rocks because people say I'm a CIA agent. How the heck would I be a CIA agent testifying before the EPA? Why would the CIA pay me to expose them? That's ridiculous. I understand controlled opposition, but to be controlled opposition, you'd have to be giving out disinformation.
Right.
Nothing I say is disinformation. It's all my own research. It's just me out there recording the sky, calling the authorities, and I'm calling them out by name. So,
something people need to understand is that when it comes to the government, believe half of what you hear and nothing you see.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately. And people are getting that, but it's just making people paranoid. Are you a government agent? Are you a government agent? I'm guilty of that one myself. I gotta watch some people sometimes because too much sabotage comes my way sometimes. It's always centered around certain people. And it's like, okay, well, you're busted.
Yeah. Well, I can tell the difference between a hater, a troll, a controlled op, or a federal agent. I can tell the difference between them online. Now, maybe there might be some sneaky ones that are pretty good and have fooled me, but for the most part, I know. The haters, man, I appreciate the haters. Hate on me all you want. I'm a confrontational girl. I am not the most likable character on the internet, but I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to dang fight the government. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't have a long list of enemies by this point, then you're not doing it right. And, a lot of the haters are ex-jaded Facebook friends that I've unfriended. And like I said, I apologize for that. Like, I feel really bad about that I allowed my personal feelings to interfere with the unity that I should have. It's not about me. It's not about the fact that you are dissing flat earthers or you are doing this and that with the haters, But like the shills that come on and try to debunk chemtrails, oh, you are on my hate list. Like, I will hate on you for that because you are lying. So, like, a shill is going to come on and talk about water vapor. A troll is going to come on and talk about your mama. And a hater is going to come on and talk about you. And that's the way that it is, And so...
Well put.
I don't know.
Wow. Yeah. I've had my fair share of trolls, and I call myself the OT. I'm the original troll. I've made trolls go and cry.
Well, I like can stick you on some of mine.
I'm extremely confrontational. I'm ravenous. I will stay up for hours. And sometimes a couple days on end.
I just heard
battling
I'm
with trolls.
extremely confrontational. Jeez. Oh.
So, all right. So this idea that NASA is funneling millions, billions, possibly trillions of dollars. There's always a pitfall economically, in which serves to tax everyone and keep everyone poor and under the foot of the establishment. And so you feel that NASA is one of these?
NASA is one of the most fraudulent agencies I've ever dealt with. The EPA definitely takes the cake. Then it would be NASA, then probably the military, then the FAA, and on and on and on. But NASA's up there. And you guys, if you want to listen to long, detailed conversations I personally have with NASA, please Google Madison Star Moon NASA or something like that, and it'll pull up. I've done several videos with NASA. One was almost an hour long with this man. And I mean, it's just totally candid. I was speaking to them like I would speak to anybody. And I'm starting to wonder if they know it's me. I mean, because that one was at Langley. Because sometimes I'll call the headquarters and other stuff. And one NASA guy, he tried to scare me. He tried to intimidate me, and I have that recording as well. It just depends on who you get, I guess. I mean, some of these guys are nice. I kind of feel sorry for them. I know that I backed them into a corner they can't really get out of, and they just don't know what to do with me.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I have empathy. I'm not an animal. I know that we're all people, but what is this saying? Oh, shoot, I can't think of it. Oh, yeah. Where mercy is shown, mercy is given. That's how I look at it. If you're not going to be willing to help me, and I sit there and beg you for an hour, and you still do nothing, you deserve to be exposed.
Absolutely. Live by the sword, die by the sword. So, wow. So I'm thinking maybe I should get you to do a couple of your phone calls, and I just play them on my show. Here and there.
You can feel free to steal any of my stuff. I have a series of YouTube videos called The Investigator, Madison Star Moon, The Investigator, and it goes over so many different calls that I've made. But since then, I've made 100 new calls. And if you guys just look on my YouTube, I mean, it goes in order of when I've made the calls, and you can see them.
Really, that sounds good. A segment on my show. Madison calls the EPA.
Oh, yeah. I have a whole one. I think it's called The EPA is a Fraud or something like that. But it goes over my different calls to the EPA. I have so many of them. I've made thousands of these calls over time, but I just the other day when I just went hysterical, I called everybody. I mean, I called the police twice because the sky, there were fleets of aircraft, and they were the big, huge chem tankers, the ones that spray out 4 different chemtrails at once. And I just never seen anything that wicked and that horrific. And I was like, oh my God, there's no excuse for this. And I have to call the cops. I mean, I know they're not going to do anything, but I keep trying to get them to file a report. Get something with my name on it. And because they won't, I just get a vocal report through my recording.
The constitutional sheriffs are supposed to do something about it. If there's any law enforcement that's outside of federal government, constitutional sheriffs are...
Did you say the sheriff?
Constitutional sheriffs, yes.
Yeah, I did. I called the sheriff, and I never received a call back. I told his secretary all about omission, failure to act. I tried to report the people and everything, and if you look up Madison Star Moon calls the sheriff, I mean, you just you can put in any agency after my name and you'll see my calls to them. That's how many people I've called. Name an agency. Try me.
Wow.
Pick an agency, V.
Wow. Well, I'm going to have to do that. I hope my listeners do as well.
Any agency. Yeah, the only one I haven't tried is the CIA. But the only reason why is because they're not even legally supposed to be working within the United States, and they're not going to help me anyways. That's ridiculous to try to contact them. The FBI is the highest up I'll go as far as police, but then I go into the politics. I've called the White House. I mean, that's as high up as I can go, really.
Okay. Well, I think we should all take a page from your book and do what you do. What a segment that would be. All right, so you have some plans for your show. You have a guest. I believe you already mentioned his name. That's going to be on your show.
I'm so excited. You want me to tell you about it?
Yeah, please. Tell my audience.
Okay. So Monday, let me look at the schedule. Hold on one second. I need to pull up a calendar here. What day is Monday? Is it the 3rd?
Yes.
This is not pulling
Yes.
up.
Yes.
Okay, so Monday the 3rd at 10 p.m. Eastern on my Blog Talk channel. You can get the links from Amanda Danielle Bays on Facebook. Okay, so Art Sabrell is going to be my guest. He's the producer of A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon. And I've tried for 5 years to get him on my show. And, I mean, I was tenacious with it. I'm talking about emailing this guy, messaging him, and just bombarding him, begging him. Finally, he's given in. So it just shows that tenacity works. You know, when you're persistent, you can get things done. And I've already talked to him on the phone for like an hour. It was just like talking to an old friend. We've been friends for a long time. We were friends on Facebook, and then he deleted his Facebook account like 2 years ago. He just couldn't take it anymore, and I don't blame him. If I didn't have like so many friends on there that's the only way that I talk to them, I would delete Facebook too, because you get sick of being dissed and trolled and all of the other garbage that comes along with it. But yeah, so he's going to be giving me an interview from 11 to 11:45. We're taking a 15-minute break, and then 12 to 12:45. And I'm so excited about this. We actually have different views on a lot of things. And I noticed that when I was talking to him, like, we had completely different views on things, but I had absolutely no problem with it. It's how he presents his arguments that I appreciate. You know, like, you don't have to think like me. You just have to think. And so I'm just really excited and honored to have him on my show. It's going to be my best guest I've ever had, in my opinion.
Okay. And it's really wonderful when you get those guests. You know, that's potentially, you know, career making when you get these kinds of guests. And so, yeah, persistence.
I don't think I'm ever going to have a career in this. I've been as loud and as proud and, you know, fighting on the front lines of this issue for 6 years. I think I'm as well known as I can get within the, you know, the chemtrail community. This isn't really, I don't really fight an agenda that's well known. We're like, what, 0.5% of the population? And that's sad, because I have seen the numbers rise, you know, to a degree over the years, but not like they should. You know, we should have millions and millions of people fighting this right now. But instead, we have like hundreds of thousands, which is not good.
Well, people are not seeing the outcomes of these things. I mean, I want to go back to the Morgellons sufferers. The lesions, the things that come off of their skin, the wiry hair follicles. I mean, I've actually had a couple of metallic hair follicles come out of my body myself, so I can relate. I won't go as far as saying I've had Morgellons, but I've had a couple of these follicles come out, so I know the machinations of these things are working within my body, just same as everyone else's. So if people can understand that their children who are having problems with the you know, ADD or autism or any of these things, what's different now than 100 years ago? You know, oh, well, we have cancer-causing frequency towers, death towers. We have aluminum in the chemtrails that's destroying people's minds. We have the fluoride and just everything down the line. It's like, well, all of our problems seem to be man-made, and particularly corporate and government-made.
Yep.
So, I mean, I've seen the pictures of and video of the autistic children and what's happened to them. You know, Alzheimer's, okay? That's caused by the chemtrail, the geoengineering, whatever you want to call it. And that's really sinister, too, because I'm not sure if you're aware of target individuals or anything like that, but there's a technology such as called Voice to Skull.
Uh-huh.
And so when you have someone with Alzheimer's and they're losing who they are, their memories, well, what if you could just put a voice in their head and tell them who they are, tell them what they're doing? You know, it's mind control. You can create a Manchurian candidate. The person can be sweet old grandpa one second and then an assassin for the government in the next. Or a false flag operator, a false flag terrorist. So, I mean, these things are very important. People need to start connecting the dots to these things.
Yeah, absolutely. I've interviewed some Morgellons victims, and it's some of the most heartbreaking testimony you'll hear. We can't disregard these people. We can't just say that whatever they're experiencing isn't real or isn't happening. There's too many of them. I mean, this stuff hasn't even been identified, but the medical community says that they're doing it themselves. You know, like, oh, they're just picking at their skin for no reason. These aren't insane people that are just making lesions on their body and picking at them and stuff. You know, these are nice, great, smart. Everyone that I've interviewed with Morgellons is a well put together, intelligent human being.
Absolutely, and they want to talk about parasitosis. I have seen
exactly.
the pictures of these Morgellons sufferers, not Lyme disease or anything like that. You know, if there's parasitosis into the equation, then you can't get a picture of it. That's a mental disease. You know, you can't get pictures of little crystalline fibers and parasites and little. I've even seen like little flower type of fungus, metallic crystalline looking things growing out of people's skin. I actually lived with someone who had Morgellons. And I'm going to tell you right now, that was very hard because this person was anti-conspiracy, and, you know, just if I even were to say something like, hey, you have Morgellons, what's that? And, you know, flip out. You know, this person's been to doctors, you know, over like past 6 years, you know, every few weeks, and the doctors don't know what it is. These lesions are all over her body. It's like, I'm pretty sure she would like an answer, but I'm not even sure she can handle it. So that was very sad for me.
Yeah, I imagine. Well, what happened? Did she ever get any information on it?
Well, no. Doctors just kept experimenting on her, throwing her drugs. Oh, it might be this, or it might be that. Or you're a vitamin D deficient, and then it's never gone away. Doesn't matter what treatment she had. And this woman is covered, you know, various marks all over her skin, sores, lesions. Not a single accurate diagnosis.
That's heartbreaking. Yeah, again, no help, just a cover up, and they want to get you on more drugs and stuff like that. We need to come up with solutions. My dad pointed this out to me. He said, you're very good at identifying problems. You're not very good at identifying solutions. You know, and this, with the chemtrail agenda, it's hard to come up with solutions. I was speaking with one of my more savvy friends. He's been in this, you know, been an activist for years before I even was. Hold on, my phone's ringing. And so I was speaking with him about it, and we sat there and talked for like an hour, and it was very difficult for us to come up with solutions. You know, and we did come up with the same theory of what you said Dane Wigington was doing, which is to sue the people that we are guilty of omission, that we've proven are guilty of omission, and to try to sue them. But what we figured out is it's going to take like 10 years to even get this thing going. I mean, by then we could all be dead. And that's the thing, is that this agenda, we're running out of time. We've got to come up with something. And I hate to think that it's going to be a revolution that's going to stop this. Because think about how many people are going to die if we have World War III kicking off. You know, I don't even like to think. I'm a non-violent activist. I have a violent mouth. You know, like, that is my weapon, is my words. But I don't want to see anyone hurt. I'm trying to save lives. I don't want to. Lives are not expendable for me for this cause. You know, like, let's try to do this and this. I mean, and look at what they did to the Indian people. You know, at Standing Rock. I mean, we're not even willing to protect our, the Native Americans and their land, and look at what they did to those people. They sprayed them down with pesticide aircraft. They sprayed them down with cold water in the winter, to get them to freeze with pneumonia. I mean, these are death crimes. They're trying to kill these people. And why? Because they were trying to protect their land, their water? How scary is that? And we're just going to sit by and be like, oh, it's just another day. Let me go to work and let me do this and that.
Well, that is the PSYOP. Everything's code-worded. And Standing Rock is very important because of the name and the people and the land itself. Standing Rock. If these people were to push over Standing Rock... Well, actually, let me back up. NASA, the Challenger, out of all these rockets that supposedly went up into space, the Challenger didn't make it. That's very symbolic. Now, here you have Standing Rock, and, well, Standing Rock being pushed over. So, it's very symbolic. These sovereign people are pushed over by government, corporation, mixture entities, and the whole country did nothing. That lets you know that no one can stand against these people. That's what they're trying to psychologically implant into people's minds across the globe. Standing Rock falls. Well, there's no hope then. See, these people are all about that subliminal implant. So it
was pretty devastating, though. I would sit there and watch those videos and just weep. When you see, like, the young kids and the older women that were getting assaulted and stuff by those, what were they like? They weren't the police, but remember that video where they were the people that were hired on the horses and stuff to go up there and mess with the people?
Oh,
and they were
the Right Busters?
Injured.
Yeah.
That was horrible. I mean, I was sitting there watching that just weeping because... that is hard to watch. I mean, these people don't have the help that they need. And I mean, that's just one isolated incident of hundreds of thousands of crimes that they're committing against people every day.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, it's very emotional. Yeah, that really, really upsets me. So, I want to know a little bit more about your show. If you can't tell, I'm trying to showcase you.
Okay, great. I appreciate it. I need all the help I can get.
I want your fans to be familiar with me also. But your show, your blog talk. What kind of guests have you had on in the past?
Everybody. I mean, all the big names that you can think of in the chemtrail community. I've asked them all on. I really can't think of anybody that I haven't had on. Over the past 6 years, it's been all the chemtrailers, and then some militia members, whistleblowers. My most popular recording from my show is called Interview with a Death Tower Whistleblower, and that's the most popular by far. I'm talking about thousands and thousands of more views than anything else I've ever done, and that was on Blog Talk. But I mean, they actually shut me down on Blog Talk, and I had to create another Blog Talk channel. Mm-hmm. And so now I have two, but they're both under Madison Star Moon. And so you can find, you just go back. I've actually had three. So the first one is Subdimension Radio, and then that was my early years, my first years calling the EPA and doing all that kind of stuff. Then I moved on to Madison Star Moon, and then my third Madison Star Moon. And they'll probably block me off from this one, and I'll just make another one. It's okay.
Well, I'll tell you what, after you record your shows, you should upload them to Mixcloud. Even with all the stuff that I talk about, my Mixcloud account, I mean, there's no censorship. You just upload it and it's there.
Wow. I don't have a Mixcloud. That sounds good.
After I post the show, I will send you a link for the show, and you get to look around, and you'll be amazed. I love it.
Can I get an MP3 of the show so I can put it on my YouTube channel?
Absolutely.
Sweet. That's great.
So,
Yeah.
yes, same for me. Any of my media, please sample it, share it, do whatever you want with it. Just don't make me
Where
look
can we
bad.
find all of your stuff?
What's that?
Where can we find all of your stuff?
I have a YouTube channel, The Red Pill Hardcore.
I'm looking it up right now. Hold on, let me check you out.
I'm starting to put episodes up just now. I'm learning to make videos of it. And Mixcloud. I'm on Mixcloud.
Wait a second, I don't see you on YouTube. Hold on, they're probably trying to block your thing. There you go. Okay, let me see if I'm already subscribed.
Should be Guy Fawkes and Blue Lightning.
You know, it's funny, when I told everybody, I said, I was contacted by Anonymous in Poland to do a radio show, and we're going to be on tomorrow night, and I got a few likes, and some people were saying, be careful. Do you get that a lot, where people are apprehensive about dealing with Anonymous?
Oh, well, it's funny that you say that. I had a fluoride, chemtrail fluoride activist starting to record a show last week. He was a chemist, and he's actually got a little movement going on here in Europe against this stuff. And it's like, I had him on the call and had my co-host there, and wow, we were just baffled that he kept asking for my real name. It's like, well, I'm V from the Red Bull Hardcore, but what's your legal name? Sir, I'm in media. I preserve the right to have my media persona separated from my personal life. And we were going at it for like 10 minutes. Sir, I'm not telling you my legal name. So I have to know who you are. I don't tell anyone who I am. What makes you so special? What makes you so special that you have to know? And so I ended up hanging up. It's like, okay, well, whatever. It was funny because Pete was in the background saying, F this guy, we don't need him. He doesn't want to cooperate, F him.
No, really, in all honesty, I was anonymous. I was Madison Star Moon until the EPA hearing, where I actually had to testify, under my birth name. And, once they got my name, man, they doxed me on the internet. They got my name, my address, my phone number. They published pictures of my home. They did all kinds of horrible stuff. So I can understand and appreciate why someone will want to remain anonymous. Unfortunately for me, it's too late for me. So now I'm just well, they already know where I'm at. They already have my phone number. And they've actually called me at work. When I say they, I'm talking about the trolls or the government or whoever it is. Mm-hmm. They called me at work and then made a video of it and put it on YouTube. Man, I turned that into the FBI. What happened? Nothing. When I spoke with, who was it? I can't remember now. But anyways, I spoke with someone. It was Bart Sabrell. When I told him about this, he said, well, you know what probably happened? The FBI probably traced the call back and found out it was the NSA. And then just said, there's nothing I can do about it,
It's really funny whenever you have these people that end up finding themselves. I've actually had a few trollers myself, and I fill out a few IC3 reports, and the harassment stopped. As far as
it did stop?
As far as these few things were concerned. But other people with my show, I had to do the same thing. So apparently some of the harassers were just gang stalkers or whoever, obsessed fans or whatever. I don't know, but not that we're to that level yet.
I'm a TI, which I never intended on being, it was not my plan to get a team of ravenous shills to stalk me, but they've been doing it for so long. I'm quasi-desensitized to it. It still affects me, but it doesn't affect me like how it should, a normal person. Mm-hmm. I've had the standard death threats and stuff. The most recent campaign that they did was they made T-shirts bashing me, and I actually have one of the T-shirts. One was ordered for me and given to me, and I'm like, oh wow, so this is out of control. But they made money off of using my name on a T-shirt to bash me. I don't know who would have bought it, but Yeah, so that's like their most. They try little things to get at you. They want the number one thing they want you to do is to leave the internet. That's their whole goal, is for you to disappear. So they try humiliation is a big one they use with me.
Right.
To try to humiliate me, to try to defame me. That's a big one.
Yes.
You know. So, but it's not done by one entity. It's done by hundreds, and it's over years of time. And so, like I said, it's kind of counterproductive for them to gang stalk you. It's okay if they do it in the beginning, because that's when it's the most effective. But after a while, you build up this wall of strength of protection around yourself where it like doesn't matter anymore what anybody says about you. Well, and that's kind of where I'm at now.
You know, I kind of like my groupies. That's what I call them. 'Cause they're constantly trying to be on my lap.
Right.
They're lap riding, as they say.
Yeah.
You know, so, but just to go a little bit further with what you were saying, the anonymous thing, yeah, it's, you know, I'm pretty sure I have a lot of anonymous, quote-unquote, people that are upset with me because I use imagery or whatever. And with my TV show, I'm definitely going to be using the imagery because it is the idea. And I actually did an interview with someone who usually, he doesn't have a good success rate of survivors of the people that he interviews, but I was definitely interviewed, and well, you know, he asked me about anonymous, and it's like, what's this anonymous thing? It's like, well, you know, anonymous doesn't exist, you know. Well, what do you mean anonymous doesn't exist? Well, it doesn't exist because none of us are anonymous. With all the tracking surveillance technologies that exist, you know, I don't care what hacker and whose basement thinks that he's truly anonymous. There's satellite technology, ground penetrating radar technology. The chemtrails act as the chemtrail nanoparticulate act as RFID tagging. You know, there's no way to be anonymous anymore. But I am still fighting for that idea that one can't be anonymous.
Yeah, you're anonymous to a degree. I mean, people don't automatically know who you are. They're not posting pictures of your house and posting pictures of your grandmother. You know, when they did that, my grandmother was sick in the hospital, and one of these freaky trolls made a meme with my grandmother who was dying in the hospital. I'm like, you people are beyond evil. Like, you are...
Wow.
I mean, karma is going to get these people. You know, and I actually befriended a shill before. I did. This guy stalked me for so long. He terrorized me and scared me so bad that I developed Stockholm Syndrome. And this is like very personal, but it's true. And he knows it, you know, and he played on that. But I finally gave in to him. And I'm like, well, I guess if you can't beat him, join him. You know, I'm just going to allow him. I'm going to communicate with him willingly. I'm going to talk to him on the phone. I'm going to allow him to stalk me. I'm going to allow him to terrorize me. And I'm not going to fight back. And, I mean, that went on for a while. So, but he still does it from afar, but I ended up blocking. I got hacked back in 2014, I think it was. Am I doing that right? 2015, 16? No, 2015 I got hacked. And well, I've been hacked several times, but the big hack. They hacked into my Facebook account, my YouTube channel, my emails, and all this. I don't know how they did it or who did it, but when they went onto my Facebook account, the first thing they did is they deleted all my years of work. Every video I had on there, every picture, everything. Then they posted a bunch of pictures of goats. And that's how you know they took over all my groups and posted pictures of goats. And those groups are still active today with all my friends in there. And I've tried to tell my friends, unfriend this group, please, you know, and they're just goats having sex and you know, with a goat and all this stuff, and they do this. But I know it was him. I know it was he's like one of the ringleaders that was doing it. And after when I got hacked, I was like, you know what? Forget my Stockholm Syndrome. This guy is way too dangerous and evil for me to even deal with anymore. And so I just cut out my Stockholm Syndrome. Yeah, but it was I actually developed a psychological disorder, Stockholm Syndrome, from being stalked. And that can happen. I want people to be aware of that. You can develop empathy or sympathy for your
It's funny.
captor.
Well, not funny, but it's weird that you say that because I went through something. Well, I'm still currently going through these sort of things where it's like I'm being contacted by various women who are all reminiscent of my ex-girlfriend, and it's like, hey, look at me, pay attention to me, look at me. It's like I can't do my work, I can't do what I'm doing because I'm getting non-stop messages, and it's like, I know I'm a good-looking guy, and I know I have a show, but I'm not that popular yet. So what's going on here?
Yeah.
And I'll check these people out, and it's like, wow, this one is very reminiscent of my ex. Next, this one's very reminiscent of my ex. And then I just go down the line, and it's like, okay. So I just ignore them, and after a while, if I ignore them too long, my computers start acting buggy. And after a while, the only interface that will work with my devices is the communication with these women. And it's like, so I have to entertain speaking to them, and then my computer systems will free up a little bit, and I can do more things. And I would converse with these women. I let my significant other know about these things because I know it's also a sign up to mess up my relationship. Because I'm pretty sure they have no problem sending her the messages or whatever, what I'm supposedly doing and whatnot. So, I've even given her the chance to talk to these people and pretend to be me for a little while,
Yeah.
And it's just the psyop there to distract me, and I know it was their feeble attempts to get me to destroy my own relationship.
Yeah.
And it's,
yeah.
I mean, things are great here in Poland. I've got a good thing going for me. And
Yeah, you told me that you have the most beautiful, wonderful woman in the world.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so, and these people, I guess, are regretting messing up my last relationship because, it's sent her all sorts of faked, spoofed pictures of screenshots of conversations I never had, and just all these other things. And I got accused by my ex saying, "Oh, well, you're talking trash about me. You're talking trash about me all over the internet." Well, what are you talking about? And then now, hindsight 2020, I know exactly what was going on. And so these people try their best to destroy your lives in a covert manner.
Yeah, and another thing is they play on your human emotions of like love and stuff like that. Like one thing that there's a particular group, I'm not going to give their name out and give them any advertising, but there's a group that's after me right now, and I will go to their website because they post about me all the time. I just go to see what are they talking about me about today and everything, and I started to feel sorry for them because they are paid government trolls and shills, and they have to waste their time talking about me. That's how bad it is. I actually felt sorry for them, like, man, they could be doing so much better things with their life. Instead, they're stuck having to, chill me and all this stuff. That is not the right feeling I should be having. I should be like, stop, you psychotic freaks. Like, leave me alone. But instead, there goes that Stockholm-y syndrome because they've been stalking me for so long. It's like the dedicated stalkers, petty. I don't know another way to say it. I mean, I hate them too. I hate what they're doing to me. But I also feel, because I'm a compassionate person, I also feel sorry for them because I know that there's a human behind that website, behind those things.
Well, do you feel as though you're a very attractive woman? I've only seen your Skype profile picture, and it's very small for me. I can't see it very well.
I don't try to use my looks for anything. Like I told the police officer that came to my house the other day, I said, one of my haters was spreading around lies that I have all these naked pictures of myself all over the internet. And I said, that's defamation, because I don't want people to look at me like a woman. I said, when I'm online, I want people to look at me like a man. Like, mess with me. Go ahead and try. And that's how I present myself is, I'm always wearing a suit when I'm out in public.
Yes.
I'm wearing a power suit. I'm trying to present myself like in that authoritative type of persona. So I definitely don't try to use some foo-foo girl angle to, no one's seen even an elbow. I'm not provocatively dressed. I don't talk about sex. I don't talk about relationships. I don't think anybody has ever heard me talk about, I think maybe before I might have talked about love or something like that, or the theory of it, maybe. I can't even say for sure, but my premise is I'm an activist. Look at me like an activist. I'm a warrior on the front lines of this agenda, and that's how I want people to view me.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. But you are still a human being, and as you said, you have a problem talking about love. You have a dating group, don't you? on Facebook?
I haven't been active in that for so long because I actually got shut down by Facebook. Facebook shut me down, I can't remember, a few months back or whatever, and I had no access to my own group and everything, and ever since then I never went back to it really. It's called Single and Awake, and it was a group that I wanted to have all single people that were trying to find love within the truther community to be able to unite. The group still exists, but I'm honestly so busy, like I don't really go to anything except for like my Facebook and then YouTube and my blog talk, and I don't even really do my radio show like I should. This show coming up with Bart, that's going to be the first show I've done since, it's been maybe a month or so maybe not that long, but it might have even been like about 3 weeks to a month since I've done a show. That's irresponsible of me. Now, I did get fired from my most recent network. I'm not going to give them any advertisement either. But my producer was trying to be my handler. And I asked him early on, I said, are you my handler? And he said, you could do a lot worse. And I kind of accepted those terms early on. But then, when he was telling me I couldn't talk about flat Earth, I couldn't talk about moon landing hoax, I couldn't talk about satellites in space, and had this big list of things I couldn't talk about, I was like, this is messing up my freedom of speech, artistic freedom. And then he was like literally throwing my guest off the show. He would interrupt when I was in the middle of an interview with a high-profile activist, and he would throw them off the show because they were being, like, one guy, Chris Dorsey, who's like a personal hero of mine. I've done protests with this man. We did a protest, well, not a protest, but we passed out flyers to end the Fed and chemtrails in the middle of winter, in the middle of a snowstorm. It was like 10 degrees or something. We were all freezing to death. And this guy walked side by side with me while we tried to end the Fed, and do this stuff. So I know how legitimate this guy is. And I have him on my show, and my producer threw him off for talking trash about Trump. I mean, that's freedom of speech, dude. We don't all have to like Trump. We don't all have to hate Hillary. We don't all have to think any of the same political beliefs. But I'm not going to, make my platform some contrived, censored platform of just my producer's opinions. It's my show. And so the final straw was when he told me that I told him about Bart Sabrell coming on, my big, super-sized guest, the best guest I could possibly get on. I waited years for this interview, and he tells me I can't have him on. Oh, no, you can't talk about moon landing hoax. Sorry. And I'm like, what? And then I had actually arranged a show, and he had me and my guest waiting in the queue, and he never let us go on. And he was telling the other guest to continue, and I was messaging the other host, telling him, why are you going over into my time? And he said, the producer told me to keep going and all this stuff. And I'm like, that's my time. I'm glad that you're willing to just step on my toes to, do whatever you want. And it really wasn't his fault. It was the producer's fault. And the producer never let us on and had me and my guests sitting there looking like chumps. And then finally we left and we went on to my blog talk and did the show.
Now,
so, yeah, I got thrown off my own network that I helped start.
Wow. Now, I wanted to ask you about that, too. Ahmad. Do you know Ahmad?
Yeah.
Ahmad Anani?
Wait. I was thinking of something else. Hold on a second.
Well, I'm not sure. I don't want to advertise your ex station either, but I believe he left the station as well.
Yeah, that's the same guy. Yeah, I just had to check his name.
Yeah, he left the station as well, saying that there were handlers there at the station, and it was just
One handler.
Okay, would this handler happen to have a ponytail? Okay, never mind. You can tell me later.
Yes, he does.
Okay, yeah. Well, he was nice enough giving me your phone number.
Oh, he gave you my number?
Yes.
That's interesting, because he's since blocked me on Facebook. The other day I made a post, and I wrote, satellites in space with a question mark, and it was just a phone call, a straight call I made to NASA asking them about satellites in space. And there was no opinion of mine put into it. I was just simply asking questions. And he wrote, "You're stupid hurts me," or something like that, and then blocked me real quick before I could respond. So I just deleted his comment and said, you know what, forget you. You know, we've been friends for a long time, many, many, many years. And I was one of his biggest fans, and we supported each other and loved each other. So it's really sad that this is how it ended up. But this is not unlike many of my relationships on Facebook, that these were like, you know, my best followers or my best friends or something. And where are they now? We're enemies. Like, there's something that's gone down. So with the internet, you really can't, you just got to kind of, when these things happen, roll with the punches. You know, you're going to lose 10 one week, you're going to get 15 the next week. You're going to lose 3 the next week, you're going to get 4 the next week. I mean, it's like a weeble wobble. Like a, what is it called? That thing that one person gets on one end and one on the other? What is it called? Teeter-totter? I don't know the name of it.
A saw or something?
Seesaw. Yeah, it's a seesaw of people. So I am really hurt, though, with the most recent psyop that was committed against me through the haters. I mean, they have an active campaign against me, and these are my ex-Facebook friends that have all gotten together and decided to go against me because I've unfriended them. And I mean, I just want to say for the third time that I did not unfriend anybody to hurt their feelings. I just could not take seeing them bash flat earthers, because I mean, everybody was saying that, like, flat Earth is a psyop. I mean, even Bart Sibrel says that. He breaks it down. But he explains it. He explained it to me in a way that was not offensive. But I just look at it like, you know, question everything. And when I say everything, I mean literally everything. It's okay if you don't believe that the Earth is round. It's okay if you know that the Earth is round. It doesn't matter to me. But don't tell, you know, there was a post saying that all flat Earthers should kill themselves because they're too stupid to live. I mean, to me, that is just heinous. And, you know, and then I see my friends on there liking the comment, and I'm like, wow, I mean, are you really somebody that I want to know, if that's how you feel?
Well, you know, I find it very strange how people are divided just by, you know, political views and even conspiracy views. I know that I have had Guy Williams on my show from the Bilderberg group, musical group that talked about Pizzagate and everything else. I'll link you that show. But I've had other truthers, again, contacts, friends that were gonna be on the show and so forth. They're like, well, you know, they sort of disappeared on me. And it's like, were you gonna come back on my show? Were you gonna come on my show, or were you gonna? What's going on? And it's like, well, you had Guy Williams, and you know, Guy Williams is a known flat earther. And I was like, I thought you were a flat earther too. No, I'm not a flat earther. You know, my show is a medium for, you know, free speech. You know, whether you believe in Hillary or Dump, you know, as your political choices, whatever. People should be divided by their views in the world. So, I mean, I trust me. I have friends who are Trump supporters and so forth. As misguided as anyone's views are, they're still a human at heart and still doing what they can to make the world a better place.
Yeah, I just think people need to have the freedom of their minds. Nobody has the right to tell somebody, this is a distraction. I can't stand it when someone says something that someone else is researching is distracting them from some real thing they're supposed to be talking about or thinking about. You know, if that person wants to be distracted by investigating something, allow them to be distracted. I mean, we're all going to research what we want. It doesn't mean because I may look into another theory of what shape the planet is that I'm going to stop being a chemtrail activist. But Bart Sabril, we're not going to talk about the flat Earth on the show and everything like that, but he basically believes that the flat Earth is a psyop that's distracting, but how he described it and explained it to me, that's what I appreciated with his point of view, and I understood it. It's the people that just come on and say, oh, this is a psyop. How do you know that? I mean, what evidence do you have showing that? And I am not a flat earther, but I defend them as I defend my own beliefs, because I believe that if we start labeling people as they're not allowed to think about this or they're not allowed to talk about this, we're doing the same thing as the government.
Yeah, and we all know government is mind control. So I want to stop the show there. A quick 30 seconds to give out your information again, how people can contact you, your next spots coming up, just to reiterate for my audience.
Yes, sir. Okay, I want to thank you, V, for allowing me this platform to tell my story and to promote me like this. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all you're doing for the planet. And you're making Anonymous look good. I'll put it to you like that. Like I said, my name's Madison Star Moon. You can find me by just Googling my name. Easiest way to find me. You can also find me on Amanda Danielle Bays on Facebook.
Okay. Thank you for tuning in. As always, I'm your host, V. And remember, in the land of surveillance, the man with the third eye is king. So educate yourselves.
How can you sit there and allow this to go on the airways of our nation? This is why I am totally against you, and you have gone too far tonight, and your programs have just gone over the edge. You are too far.
I knew it would get to you.
Greetings! The Red Pill Hardcore is a free broadcast research hosted and produced by volunteers and activists that are heavily invested in our freedom and our future. Please help us in freeing the world and make a small donation to paypal.me/redpillhardcore. Please contact us if you or anyone you know wants to be on our show at thetruthpharmacy@gmail.com.